Hello, welcome to episode 46 of Little Bobbins Knits. My name is Dani and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Little Bobbins. We have a Ravelry group which you can find by searching Little Bobbins Knits in the groups tab on Ravelry, and show notes for the podcast can be found at littlebobbins.co.uk. Excuse me. Thank you so much for being here today. If you've watched before, thank you so much for coming back. It means so much to me. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. I'm really pleased you found us and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much to the people who got in touch about show notes after the last episode. I really appreciated that feedback, and I'll continue to do show notes because if they're useful to you, then that's what matters to me. So yeah, I'll definitely continue to do those. I think what I've decided to do though is, because I'd quite like them to be pretty, so I prefer them when they have got photos of the projects as well. But what I'll do is, it will just be time dependent. So if I've got a bit of spare time that I can dedicate to that, I'll pop in some photos. But if it's a bit tight for time, then I'll just pop in the links. But yeah, I really appreciated that feedback from you, so thank you so much. I've got a little bobbin here today. Haven't I, bobbin? Oh, it's just horrible weather outside. It's really cold and drizzly and wet. We've been out this morning fabric shopping, haven't we, bobbin? And as soon as we got home, he ran to his favourite little spot to snuggle and try and get rid of the chill. Oh, such a good boy. He's particularly alert right now because I did a little swap with Sandra, who's Sandra Cherry Heart, on Instagram and Ravelry. She sent Bobbin some treats and they're just over there, so he's keeping a very close eye on those. So today I've got some works in progress to show you, some finished objects. We'll chat a bit about the little along, and I've got some lovely things to show you. And I've been sewing for my shop this week, so I thought I'd show you a few of the things that I've been stitching up. He wants to get back on my desk so that he can go and stalk those treats. You can't right now, my little bobbin. Okay, so let's talk about my works in progress. Now, I don't feel like I've got very much knitting done over the last couple of weeks. I don't really know where the time's been going. I've just felt quite busy and there hasn't been very much time to sit and knit and relax, which is a shame. But I have got a little bit done. So my lovely bag from Mrs. Brown's Bags, which I am just in love with. I've got my True Friend, and it's grown a little bit, but it's still going to be really difficult for you to see. I don't think it will get easier to see until I've done the whole of the body, and then I think I'm not very good at reading ahead in patterns, but I think you do. Oh, do you know, I don't even know. I sort of think I know, but I don't think I know at the same time. But when I start to do the arms, I think you'll be able to see what's going on then. So, where am I on this? Oh, okay. So I'm just at a shoulder. My needles are at the shoulder part. And there's the front bib, or maybe the back bib, I'm not entirely sure. And the stripes go all around the body. So I'm knitting this in Drops Baby Alpaca Silk. Is this colour, this plain colour. And then the speckled is from the Wool Barn. And I'm really liking how they're working up together. It's sort of a subtle, more subtle stripe, which I really like. So a bit of progress on that. I would really like to have this finished for the retreat that I'm going to, the Curious Handmade Country House Retreat. It's in March, I think second weekend of March. I'd really love to have this finished. I think that would be nice to take away a new jumper to wear on the knitting retreat. But that does mean I need to work on it a bit more, so yeah, maybe this needs to hop up my priorities list a little bit. I really hope I like wearing this one. I'm knitting it on my Chiaogu needles. These are my interchangeable ones in 3.5mm, and I really like them. I think I mentioned last time that I like the cord for this project because there are a lot of stitches on here, and this stiffer cord just keeps them under control a bit more, I find. They don't sort of get gathered in one spot on the needle. So yeah, that's my true friend. The pattern's by Vera Valimaki. Really enjoy her patterns. They seem to be quite interesting. Seem to have quite interesting elements, interesting construction. Thinking of more colour combinations for more of those jumpers. So I really need to finish that one and see if I actually like wearing it, if I actually like the finished object. So my next work in progress, I'm just going to have a little sip of my tea. I've been quite ill over the last couple of weeks. I had sort of, I'd probably call it almost flu. Mum's had full-on flu. She's still really not very well. But I think I just had the almost flu because I was sort of able to do some things, but it just knackered me out. And my throat is still a bit sore, so I might be drinking a bit more than usual. There might be a few cuts for coughing as well. I just got some Earl Grey tea today, which is really lovely. Excuse me. So my next work in progress is in my lovely bag from Himiko no Sakai on Ravelry and Instagram. Just love this sweet bag. And in here are my socks for David. I really wanted to have these done for Valentine's Day. David and I don't really usually do anything for Valentine's Day. Sometimes we'll buy something that we both want. So I think one year we bought a fluffy blanket that we both really wanted, and this year we were thinking of buying a rug for the hallway. So we don't tend to buy each other presents, but I happened to draw his attention to Maya's from the Wool Barn, her sock blanks. She's been doing these ones called Sweetheart sock blanks, and the one I got is pink. I'll show it you next week. It's been squirreled away for me to officially open on Valentine's Day, but it's pink background and it's got hearts on it, and I think that would be so fun. So since David's got me something with help for Valentine's Day, I thought I should try and get these finished for Valentine's Day, but it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, so I can't see it happening really. This one is at this stage, and this one, oh, this is a bit further on. There's the heel there. It's not going to happen, is it, really? He knows I'm working on these. I've said to him that I'll give them to him for his birthday. So I will sit and work on them tonight when I think we're going to watch a film. But I can't see myself getting through sort of 16 stripes and 2 toes in time for tomorrow. Never mind. He won't mind anyway. These are the Baker Street colourway of the Knit Picks Felici. I really like this yarn. It's really soft. I think that yarn was just on Bobbin's ear. It does not hide his distaste of things, do you, Bobbin? But this yarn's just really soft, and I like the stripes. I really like this colourway. I've popped in a Fish Lips Kiss heel and this is in Hedgehog Fibres in the Stone colourway. It's one of the yarns that I used for my doodler shawl, and I really love this colour. I'm tempted to get another skein of this actually, just to use for heels and toes, because, well, heels, I don't tend to ever do contrast in toes for some reason. But I think this colour will go with a lot of different yarns. I really like the neutralness of it. So yeah, I think I might have to get another one of those skeins. So these are just 68 stitches because they're for David, and I'm using 2.25mm high sharps. I had some questions in the show note, in the group. Kieran asked about how many DPNs I use when I knit my socks, and I have my stitches on 3 and knit with the 4th, and I've always done that. But when we went to the Crimbo party, the Curious Handmade Crimbo party, I was so interested because my friend Kim, who was also there, she knits with 4 needles, or she has her stitches on 4 needles and knits with the 5th, and I just find that I'm really clumsy when I do that. But I hadn't actually thought of that being something that varies between people, so I was really interested to see that. But yeah, I have my stitches on 3 and knit with the 4th. That's what I find most comfortable for me. So yes, while the podcast is processing in my computer, I'll knit some more on those and try and get a bit more done tonight, and maybe they'll be finished for tomorrow. They definitely won't be blocked, but I don't think David will mind. So I'm knitting something else, but I'm going to save that till the end because that's going to be a "you can't watch this, Mum" section. So yeah, I'll keep that to the end. So my last project that I'll talk about now is my Penguono. Let's have another sip of my tea. I spent a bit more time knitting my Penguono. Let's have a look. Bobbin, how are we going to do this with you on my lap? Oh, it's in my giant basket still. I've got 4 balls of yarn attached to it at the moment, so I'm not a massive fan of knitting with lots of different strands of yarn. I feel like it will be worth it for this garment, but it's not something I'd like to make a habit out of. It's so difficult. I find it so difficult to keep things tidy and not tangled. So, I finished the back part. I need my arm, baby. And I've done some welts down the side. And I've just started this little side panel. So, this has got 2 strands. This has got a single, which is a worsted weight, and just wool, I think that is, and a naturally dyed wool is that sort of pale pink, I don't know if you can see it. And then the other stripe, the purple stripe, is some hand spun purple sparkly stuff that I did ages ago, and 2 strands of fingering weight. And my little welts here, I love this corally colour. It's a bit brighter than it's showing up, I think, because it's just so dreary outside. And then this one is alpaca cotton. It's really, really fuzzy. I don't know if that will show up. And then this one is drops Nepal. Just 1 strand of that, I think. Yeah, so that's growing. It's don't know. I can't work out if I'm enjoying it or not. I sort of am, because I pick it up and I don't want to put it down. But I'm not desperate to start working on it again. I'd really like it to be finished. But I think having all the different strands is just, every time I start I have to have a bit of an untangling session first. If any of you have got any tips about how to keep your yarns in their place, I suppose I could put each little bunch of yarn in a separate like drawstring bag or something. That might work. But yeah, if you've got any tips about how to keep your multi-stranded projects under control, I'd really like to hear them, because that little session of untangling at the beginning, it's just infuriating. But I'm really enjoying working with the different textures. Oh, it's heavy. And working with the different yarns and the different colours and things. I think that's really fun. Did I mention that the Penguono is by Stephen West? Not sure if I did. It's a really oversized cardigan. More like a jacket, really. Let's see if I've got a good photo of it that doesn't have lots of instructions on it. And you can wear it in two different ways. You can wear it with the right way up or upside down. It looks like that. One way up. So yeah, it's an interesting garment. I think because time is so limited at the moment, knitting time is so limited at the moment, that's what's making me not pick it up all the time. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But I'd really like to get it finished. Sakuna, you asked in the what do you want to, one of the threads in Ravelry, I think it was the is there anything you want to ask thread, about how it's working and how the gauge isn't changing with using all the different yarns. And the pattern is written all in one size. The way you change your size is by using different gauges. So I didn't swatch or anything, which I really should have. It's just a silly thing to do, to not be able to not swatch, in my opinion, because you're spending so much time and this could come out just a completely random size. So, but that's my mistake anyway. So I'm using yarns that will sort of approximate a chunky, I think, for the size that I'm doing. Yeah, I think that's right. So down here I've just used single yarn because it was quite a chunky yarn. Here I've used 2 strands of DK. All right, Grumpus. Here I've used 1, 2, 3 strands of fingering weight and 1 lace weight, and there is 3 strands of fingering weight. Here it's sort of an Aran sort of weight, so I use that single, and that's sort of an Aran weight, so I've used that single. This is a DK, so I've used that double, and then here I've used a sort of sport weight, so I've added 2 strands of fingering weight for that. And this one is sort of a worsted and a double knit weight together. So yeah, you just sort of build up the yarns you're using to try and get an approximate weight. But if you, well, when I laid out this piece, it's not a perfect rectangle. You can see that some of the yarns that I've paired haven't been as thick as others. So this goes up and in, it goes in a bit at the top. But really I think that will be fine. I don't think that small changes in gauge will make much of a difference in that garment because it's so oversized and there's so much going on with it anyway. So I don't think it will make too much difference if there are slight changes. I'm just trying to approximate a chunky sort of weight by using sometimes 4 or 5 strands and sometimes just 1 or 2. So yes, I hope that makes sense. So my finished objects. Oh, my throat's getting so dry today. I've got a few finished objects. I got in the mood to finish some socks. Partly because I wanted to cast on some new ones. And I suddenly felt very overwhelmed with the amount of sock whips that I had. So I finished these. Now this yarn, this main yarn, is the Knitting Goddess. And I saw Caroline, who is Seaside Girl, knitting a pair of socks in this. And every time she posted it on Instagram, I just thought, oh, that is so beautiful. I got in touch with Joy, who dyes for the Knitting Goddess, and asked if she would have this colourway back in at any point, and she said probably not, because they don't do repeatable colourways. So if you see anything that you love on the Knitting Goddess, you've just got to get it. I love the Knitting Goddess because it's all British yarn and it's British milled and spun and everything. But Caroline very, very kindly sent me the leftovers from her socks. I think it was about 35 or 37 grams, something like that. So I split the ball into two and I knit these from the toe up. Caroline also sent me some little mini skeins from 5 Moons, and I love 5 Moons yarn. That's another British yarn company, and their yarn always smells so lovely when you get it. I really, really like it. So I've got light grey toes, medium grey heels, and then I added in some dark grey Drops Fable for the cuffs. And yeah, I knit them from the toe up so that I could get every last possible drop out of the yarn, and they've made really, really lovely length socks. So I'm really thrilled with these. I'm really excited to wear these ones. These are the dusk colourway. But yeah, as I said, unfortunately she doesn't do repeatable colourway. So thank you again for that, Caroline. Another pair of socks I finished are my Christmas Eve socks, which I'm so pleased with. That was Bobbin's big snore. I don't know if you heard that. I don't think they took me quite as long last year. I think this might be the longest my Christmas Eve socks have taken me, but that's fine. It's just a relaxed project for me. I really enjoy the casting on Christmas Eve, and there's no sort of deadline for me about when they get finished. But yeah, they're done. So this yarn is Bobbin's Treat. It was a custom dye from Felt Fusion, which I absolutely love. This yarn was also a gift from Shadow at Felt Fusion, which I was very, very grateful for. I used the Spate pattern by Jane Richmond, which I really, really enjoyed for these. I think it worked quite well. It's a very simple 8-row repeat, that pattern, and yeah, I found it quite enjoyable. Because of how the stitches are worked, some of them are worked twice in the pattern rows. I used my high sharps, which I really, really liked. And as you probably know if you've watched the podcast before, I love using DPNs. But when it came to the foot, I actually transferred it over to Magic Loop, still high sharps. But I found that made me a lot faster on the foot because I didn't have to... Do you know, I don't know why it made me faster. I was going to say because I didn't have to think about when I would be knitting plain for the foot, the bottom of the foot part. But I don't think that's it, because I had a stitch marker in. But for some reason, I really sped up doing this on Magic Loop. I was finding, yeah, the foot part on DPNs just wasn't working for me. It was fine on the cuff. But yeah, so sometimes I'll use magic loop. I put in a fish lips kiss heel, and this is with yarn from the Wool Barn. This is the silk sock, and it's in a hint of cream colourway. It's the yarn that I used for Mum's ashling last year. So I really liked how they sort of kept a sort of vintage feel to these socks. Yeah, I had a few different options of ones that I wanted to use. I was thinking maybe bright green, maybe purple, but I went with these in the end. I love those little decisions. They're so fun. So yeah, I'm really pleased with those. And my last finished object is my Chester Basin hat. This is by Fiona Alice from the Take Heart book. You're right, Bob. Good boy. I used Malabrigo Rios in cocoa and lavender for this. And I was actually incorrect in the last episode because I said that I was knitting on a 6mm, and I wasn't actually. I was knitting on a 5.5 because I didn't have a 6mm at that time and was quite impatient. So I started it with a 5.5. I think you knit the cuff, the brim of the hat in a smaller needle, and then I went into a 5.5. So I actually cast on for the medium size, and then I increased the stitches to the large just before I started this lovely pattern section. So I haven't blocked this. I don't know that I will, because I think Malabrigo Rios, because it's quite a sort of slick superwash, I think it might grow a bit, and I quite like this as a bit of a beanie type hat. Let me pop it on. I haven't actually put it on yet, so I guess now we'll see if it actually fits. It's got a bit of slouch, a tiny bit of slouchiness at the back. I can't decide whether to put on a pom-pom or not. Oh, but it fits, so that's good. I wonder if maybe giving it a little bit of a block will stop that puckering at the back. I'll try and show you. Can you see that, where it's sort of a bit puckery? I'll have a better look in the mirror when I'm not recording this, but I might give it a little bit of a block. But yeah, I really like it. I love this stitch pattern. And I really like this fit actually. It's really nice and quite close fitting. I think it's going to be really warm because it's quite thick. So yeah. I'm not sure about putting a pom-pom on. What do you think? Ordinarily, my instinct would be absolutely put a pom-pom on. I'll put a pom-pom on anything I possibly can. But I'm not sure about this one. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Malabrigo Rios is such soft yarn. If you do have any sort of sensitivities, I think this would be a really good one for a hat. Or anything that's close to your skin. So yes, that's finished. I haven't actually sewn in my ends, I don't think, because I haven't blocked it. No. So I should probably get round to doing that. As I mentioned last week, Deb, who is Tink Hickman, and I are both doing a Take Heart along. So we're knitting our way through the entire Take Heart book. Next up is the Chester Basin mittens. The same stitch pattern as this, but in mittens, and I don't think I'll have enough of that yarn left to do it, so I was thinking that I might use this Drops Nepal with this, so that sort of lovely purple colour. Oh, that matches my nail varnish. And this as the contrast. And this is the contrast. This is Rowan Alpaca Cotton, and it's one of those brushed yarns. I don't know if you can see It's really, really fuzzy, and I think that that might be quite fun for the stitch pattern. I think it might be quite interesting. So yeah, I might try that. I think that would be quite an interesting combination. This is Drops Nepal. It's a wool and alpaca mix. So yeah, I might use that. Or I've got this yarn, the alpaca cotton, in a grey as well, so I could try it in that instead. I'll have a little play around with those, I think. So on to the Little Along. I have really, really enjoyed keeping up with your projects in the Little Along. There are just so many fun things in the finished object thread already. I've written down some of the really, really cute ones. There are lovely toadstools and gargoyles, these beautiful beaded purses, snails, bunnies, birds, hearts. There's some knits for little people and some lovely, lovely socks. So I've really, really enjoyed keeping up with those. If you'd like to share your projects on Instagram, then do use the hashtag littleyellowuke2016. It's lovely to see them on there too. And we've got some prizes that have come in. They're very, very exciting prizes. I haven't got all the prizes together yet. There's a couple that I've just remembered that I've forgotten to bring over. I'm going to have a think about how I'm going to put little sort of prize packages together, and I'll put pictures of them in the thread. I'll put them in my post, so the first post of the finished object thread. But one of the wonderful donations that we've had is from julianasfibre.com. I need to take my hand back, little one. Good boy. And this is the I Smell Snow colourway, and it's one of Juliana's Continuum gradients. And this is so beautiful. It's beautiful in the scheme, but you must have a look at how it knits up, because it's just fascinating. Juliana's really thinks about the effects that she wants her yarn to take on. She's got quite a few different sort of gradient yarns, but they're sort of short gradients. So this one, it will be a little gradient of this turquoise blue, and then in between that there'll be all of these pretty, pretty delicate colours, the pinks and the greens and the whites. It's just beautiful. Yeah, you must go and have a look at Juliana's yarns. They're just gorgeous, and this skein is so lovely and soft. This is her Lucid Dream sock yarn, 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. Really gorgeous. Thank you so much, Juliana. And we have another prize, and this is from the absolutely lovely Jodie from Mrs. Brown's Bags. She has sent a little mini version of my favourite bag. So this is a just perfect sock size. This is from her Dani collection, which was named after me, which I'm just completely touched by. But this is just so lovely. And look at that sort of grape coloured zip. And this is sort of a really deep royal purple on the bottom. And Jodie's also added in a little mini skein. I don't know if you'll be able to see, there you can see a bit better there. A little mini skein and some lovely little maple sweeties. I love the little pull that she's put on these bags. Look how cute her card is. There's some little stitch markers on there as well. So lovely. Two lovely prizes from two very, very kind people. So thank you so much, Jodie, for that bag. Thank you so much, Juliana. I'm just thrilled with those. So yeah, I'll work out how I'll be giving out the prizes. We've had very, very kind donations of patterns as well. Lovely Nina. Nina has the Fuzzy Love Knots podcast, which I really, really enjoy. I just find myself smiling all the time when I'm watching Nina's podcast. But she also designs knitting patterns, and she's very, very kindly donated some of her knitting patterns to us to give away. She's very kindly gifted me some of her patterns as well, which is just lovely. So there'll be some of those coming in the prizes as well. She's got a lovely cowl actually that I really would like to knit. It's called the Marigold Cowl, and it sort of mimics wearing a shawl. You have to have a look at pictures. I'll put links in the show notes. But it's just a lovely sort of triangular shape, and it's got a cable and a tassel at the bottom. It's just beautiful, and I love the colour she's knit it in as well, so I might have to do a straight copy of that. But yes, so thank you for those, Nina. And we've had a very kind donation of another pattern prize from a very lovely and always generous friend of the podcast, so thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. So keep making your little things. I think my little long project is going to be those mittens, so I need to get those on the needles pretty soon. So on to lovely things. So Amy, who is Inked Indigo, she designed the beautiful Because I Love You wrap that I test knit a little while ago. I think I showed you the finished object in the last episode, actually, I think it was. And Amy so generously gave me a skein of, well, she let me choose a skein from Juliana's Fibres. I chose the I Smell Snow colourway as well, because I've just been seeing it knitted up, and it's just such an interesting and unusual yarn. It's just beautiful. I just love it. So yeah, I have one of these too, and I just couldn't believe it. I wasn't expecting anything in return for that test knit, so it was just extremely generous of Amy. Thank you so much, Amy. I just love it. So that was just wonderful. I also got some other lovely goodies from Jodie from Mrs. Brown's Bags, who's just been so very generous to me. And Jodie and her sister Tracy have just started a podcast. It is called the Grocery Girls Podcast, and it's so wonderful. You have to go and watch. They're just such lovely people. It's just such a pleasure spending time with them. They've got 2 episodes out now, and I'll leave links in the show notes, but it's just been so lovely. I already knew that Jodie was lovely. She's just been so generous to me. But it's so nice being able to get to know her better through watching her podcast. So yeah, Jodie sent me a little bag. I wonder if that'll show up. Look at metallic. And this is the size that the prize bag is. And it's just such a perfect size. It's got the lovely little tassel on there. I'm so into tassels right now. And some lovely little stitch markers that I've popped on there. And my one's got sort of little silver circles on the lining, which is just so lovely. And Jodie also very generously sent me a beautiful bowl that she painted. It's got sort of cable knit all around it. I don't know if you'll be able to pick that up. But this is lovely, and it's full of the little maple sweeties, which is so yummy. They're so yummy. I've had them on my desk, and yeah, just had one whenever I needed a little bit of a energy boost. And she also sent me this absolutely beautiful yarn. This is by Yarn Ink. It's called White Queen. It's on the Sparkle Sock base, and it's so gorgeous. Another reason that Jodie and Tracy's podcast is so interesting is because they use lots and lots of Canadian yarns, and obviously they're not as readily available over here. Like, I don't think I could get hold of this over here. So it's really interesting seeing the yarns that they can get near them. And this is just beautiful. So thank you so much, Jodie. You just are so very kind. So lovely. I made a couple of purchases, didn't I, Bobbin? Inspired by Sarah, who is Mrs. B the Knitter, who also has a podcast, which is lovely. It's called Mrs. B's Podcast, I think. She knit some socks in the Christmas Eve cast on that she had specially dyed by Shadow of Felt Fusion, inspired by the colours of her dog. And I just thought that was such a wonderful idea. Her socks were beautiful, but the fact that it was dyed to match her dog just obviously stole my heart. So I had to get in touch with Shadow to do the same. I've got 2 different skeins because I'm going to knit socks for David out of one and socks for me out of the other. So 2 slightly different versions, and I just love them so much. They're obviously on the sparkle base, and David did have a choice and he chose to have sparkle, which I was really pleased about, because that means I get to knit with sparkle, and that's always my favourite. But I just love these. I think that they're so pretty, aren't they? And they're inspired by my little Bob, so that makes me really happy. They're called, this one is my one, and this is called Boggin Socks, and this one is David's, and it's called Slipper Wearing Monkey because they're 2 of Bobbin's many names, but that's what David calls him most often, and that seems to be what I call him most often, so I thought that they'd be good names. I think Shadow has a few extra skeins of the Boggin Socks one in her shop actually. So, but they're so fun, and it's always such a pleasure working with Shadow. She's just, I love seeing what she creates. It's extremely inspiring. I'm going to have to cast these on. As soon as David's other ones are off the needles, I'm going to cast these ones on. Oh, so that's extra motivation to get them done tonight, isn't it? Because I really want to cast them on. Yeah. It was tax time a couple of weeks ago, so after doing my tax return I had to treat myself to a little something from Fondant Fibre. Oh, I've got so much sparkly yarn on my desk, it's just making me so happy. And I went for a skein of Rider White Swan on Deb's Spangle base. I just thought the colours were so pretty. There's sort of specks of black in there as well, which are really fun. And I did get this sort of with the idea of it being another True Friend. Sorry, my mind went completely blank there. Because I've got a colour that would go really nicely with this in stash already. It's another Drops Baby Alpaca Silk actually. And I just thought a sparkly True Friend would be really nice. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I can get through knitting that one, actually like it, so that I can cast another one, because I'd really like a sparkly one. I also got some more hand lotion. This is in the Mizzle scent, which is really lovely. I've already used some, and I got a mahogany for Mum because she wanted one too. And I loved the little extra that came in the Fondant Fibre package. It's a little mini skein, and on the sides it's got little stickers that say, "In case of emergency, break seal." I just thought that was so fun. It's a lovely colourway in there as well. So that was really lovely. I don't know if you've tried Deb's hand cream, but it's so creamy and lovely, and it just absorbs in so quickly, so you can just get on with knitting. As I mentioned earlier, I'm doing a little swap with Sandra, who's Sandra Cherry Heart. She has a podcast too called Cherry Heart, and I really enjoy it. Sandra's very much into crochet, and I don't really do any crochet. I've got a blanket on the go that's actually one of Sandra's patterns, the Weekender blanket, that I'll pick up again eventually. I love the look of crochet, but I don't tend to enjoy the process so much. But I really enjoy Sandra's podcast because it just makes me think about things in different ways, and I really enjoy the colours that she uses together. They're always really cheerful, and yeah, I just really enjoy her podcast. I find myself really inspired after watching them. And yeah, we did a little swap. I still need to send out Sandra's package actually. But I got this lovely box, and everything was wrapped in these sweet little hankies that I think she made. They're extremely neat, which is why I think she made them, because shop bought things just aren't as neat as handmade things, are they? So I just thought they were so cute. There was some lovely tea, lovely treats for Bobbin, and a lovely bundle of mini skeins. And they're all labelled. They've all got what they are, and oh, that's lovely. They've all got what they are and what, some of them have got what Sandra used them for as well, which I thought was really lovely. Really nice. So yeah, I was thrilled with that. Thank you so much, Sandra, and your package will be in the post soon. And then I got a package from my friend Kim. And this is just so beautiful. It was, again, packaged just so gorgeously in these little glassine envelopes with beautiful gold metallic tape. And Kim sent me some gorgeous gold metallic washi tape. Oh gosh, I'm so red. It's because I've been coughing lots, so sorry about that. But this is lovely. It's got gold chevrons on it. Bobbin thinks there's food in here. And then some little gold clips, which are just so cute. That little exclamation mark one. It's the right side. Which are just lovely. And also in the package were these, and these are just so completely beautiful. These are crochet too. Aren't they just gorgeous? Now they're made to be coasters, but I just can't imagine putting a drink on that. It's just too beautiful, and it's the most gorgeous colours. It's sort of, I don't know if the colours are showing up because of the weather outside, but this is sort of a lovely beigey colour, and then this is pink, and then this is sort of a creamy white colour. They're just gorgeous. Yeah, I absolutely love them. I think I might have been showing you the bag. It's hard to tell because both sides are as neat as each other, so. But I think I'm going to have to put these on my wall. I'm going to have to find a nice little spot, maybe in my favourite little spot down in the hallway that I'm filling with all of my favourite little bits and bobs. I'm not sure. But yeah, they're so pretty, and I think they need to go on the wall somewhere. Thank you so much, Kim. And Kim made them for me because she said she knows I'm not a big crocheter, so they're probably not something I'd make myself. And yeah, they're just so beautiful. So that's all my lovely things. So many lovely things. It's, yeah, just wonderful. So now I'm going to show you a few things that I've been making for my shop. Excuse me. I've been making some fun project bags. Love this one. I'm really pleased with all of these actually. They're very cute. This is a sort of tea themed one. Well, it is a tea themed one, not sort of. And I've just popped some sage green linen on the bottom. I just love this print. It's got a lovely coral sort of colour zip, which I really like. And then the lining is the beige polka dot that I quite like to use. So yeah, I thought that was really cute. And I seem to have a thing for really kitsch animals, so I couldn't resist this print. These sort of playful little pets. Oh, I just think they're so cute. Little baby pink zip, and there's some pink linen on the bottom. This one's lined with some mint green polka dot. Oh, I love this fabric, it's so sweet. Little sweet kittens. And this has got a lovely, I really like this fabric. It's sort of a heavier weight fabric, it's just cotton. This has got the pink polka dot lining. And then I made some applique bags. So I've made 2 different coloured teacups. These ones reminded me of the lovely blue and white china. So there's a little teacup and saucer on the front, and then there's a little tea bag on the back with my label. This one's just lined with some white because I just thought it looked really clean. And there's also a pink teacup too, which I thought was cute. And they've got a little tea bag on the back too. And I also made one of these. I just love these chickens. I just think they're so cute and whimsical. You see them. One of them's eating and one of them's just having a ponder. And that one's got a little egg on the back of my label. This one's lined with a lilac polka dot, or lavender polka dot I'd call it actually. I didn't show you the lining of this one. I just lined this one with really, really tiny polka dot pink. So yeah, I really enjoyed making these bags this week, and I know that some people have said before that they'd really like me to show the things that I make for my shop on the podcast, so I thought I'd start today. I was watching Tracy from Thimble and Thread Make, and she was talking about how it seems to be a theme, or I can't remember the word right now, but it seems to be a thing that British people don't like to talk about, or don't like to advertise themselves too much. And I totally have that. I find it really, really difficult. And I don't know why. I find, as at the same time as finding it difficult, I find it really infuriating, because I make these things. I would really like my shop to do well, and I'm always so appreciative when people buy things from me. But I'm just not good at the advertising part of it, which is a shame. But I thought I would have a go today and show you a few things that I've been making, and I hope you liked seeing them. Tracy was saying it's another part of her making, and that's true, isn't it? Because, well, I haven't been knitting this week. I've been stitching up those little bags, so I'm hoping to get those into my shop tomorrow, which will be Sunday, which is Valentine's Day. So I just need to grab some nice light and take some photos of them, and there doesn't seem to be any today. It's very, very grey, so yeah, I'll try and get some photographs tomorrow. I also wanted to mention some podcasts that I've been really enjoying lately, but perhaps I'll mention those next time, just in case anyone switched off because they didn't want to see my sewing makes. So yeah, I'll mention those next week, because there are some fantastic podcasts that I've been really, really enjoying, and there just seem to be lots of new podcasts coming out at the moment, which is really exciting. But yeah, I'll mention those next week. I just realised I forgot to mention the secret bit. So Mum, you've got to turn off now, okay? So it's Mother's Day in March over here, and I really, really wanted to get some socks made for Mum. I got this yarn a little while ago from British Bee Knits. It's a self-striping and it's sparkly, and it's so pretty. It's 2 different shades of pink and a white, and it's sparkly. And this is one of her whodunit series. It's inspired by the programme Mrs. Fisher's Mysteries, and this one's called Whodunit with the Poisoned Sugar. And I just think it's so pretty, and I know that Mum will love this, so I've started her a pair of socks. I'm knitting them on my carbons, 2.25mm. And yeah, I'd really like to have those done for Mother's Day. I'm keeping them in my lovely little bag from Mrs. Brown's bags that I showed you earlier. And Becky, who is the dyer behind British Bee Knits, Amanda, who is Knitting Mummy on Instagram, and I are doing a little Harry Potter knit along. And I thought that this would be my first Harry Potter project. And this just reminded me of Dolores Umbridge because it's pink and sparkly. I just imagine if she were to knit, then she might knit with yarn like this. And I noticed, I took this out when David and I went to lunch the other day, and I noticed that I had a really sort of pink setup happening. I had some pink lemonade and the glass had strawberries in it, and everything looked quite pink. So yeah, I felt that they were quite Umbridge-like, and made my surroundings more Umbridge as well. So yes, these are another project that I'm going to have to pop at the end of the podcast so that Mum hopefully doesn't see them. It's so difficult to surprise Mum with knitting because I want to show you on the podcast, but she doesn't want to not watch the podcast, so yeah, I'll tack it at the end so that she hopefully won't see it. But yes, these are a 64 stitch cast on, and so that it has nice clean stripes, I just knit the round where the colour changes so that the pearl bumps aren't in a different colour. So yeah, that's those. And I love that I can keep them in my lovely sparkly bag too. So, I think that's everything I've got for today. Thank you so much for coming and watching. I hope you've been having a really lovely couple of weeks since I saw you last, and I hope your forthcoming week is really lovely too. So yeah, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope to see you soon. Bye.